Alright, this is a continuation from our last video. Check it out, the link is in the description and up here in the card. Now if you enjoy clicking on red rectangles, let me tell you about our subscribe button. You can click that, then the notification bell, then all. Also, we got the like button, and you can share the videos if you want, leave comments down below. And as if that wasn't enough, if you want to become a supporter at htbchristian.com, you can. We appreciate everything that you all do for our channel, whether it be sharing, liking, commenting, praying. Thank you to all of you for all the help you give this channel. Now, let's get back to me calling you stupid and fun things like that. Alright, you idiots, here we go. In the first part, we covered reasons number 1 through 8 and reason number 19 for why Hemant Mehta thinks we should stop believing in God. We pick up today with number 9.
If you ever wrote a book with that many contradictions in it, your publishers would have to pull it from the shelves.
Well, first of all, what contradictions? Hemant never gives any examples of what he thinks are contradictions in the Bible. Now, if Hemant or anyone watching thinks they have contradictions that are in the Bible, let us know in the comments. We could do a video on that. That'd be fun because we don't think there are any. Secondly, though, even if there were contradictions in the Bible, that would not automatically mean that we should stop believing in God. Because Christians believe that the Bible was compiled by humans who were guided by God. So even if there were contradictions in the Bible, God could still exist and be perfect. Because all the contradictions might mean is that humans made mistakes along the way. Maybe something got translated incorrectly or a book got put in there that didn't belong in there. God would not cease to exist just because a book that we wrote about him has errors in it. Again, this is hypothetical. I don't think the Bible has any contradictions in it, but you can let us know in the comments if you do. This reason, though, is complete nonsense. Because if I wrote a book about Hemant Mehta, and the book that I wrote had a bunch of contradictions in it, that doesn't mean we should stop believing in Hemant Mehta. It means I wrote a book with contradictions in it. Hemant's fine. Hemant exists. Hemant's real. We can believe in Hemant. We just probably shouldn't trust me to write a book about Hemant. Number 10.
If God made us in his image, why do we have vestigial body parts and organs that often fail?
Okay, so this reason just shows us that Hemant doesn't understand what in his image means. Being made in God's image and likeness does not mean you're made as an exact copy. For instance, Fuzz here was made in the image and likeness of a bear, but you might have noticed he's not an actual bear. So basically Hemant's 10th reason here is Hemant doesn't understand what in his image means, therefore we should stop believing in God. Yeah, I'm not convinced. What's the next one?
99.9% of all the species God ever supposedly created are extinct. How many do-overs does God need?
Alright, well, we're not going to fact check the 99.9% number. We're just going to go with it. We're sticking with 99.9% because that's what Hemant believes. Now, you've all probably heard of Thomas Edison, right? Well, the Smithsonian Magazine says almost everyone can name the man that invented the light bulb. Thomas Edison was one of the most successful inventors in American history. He was the Wizard of Menlo Park, a larger-than-life hero who seemed almost magical for the way he snatched ideas from thin air. But the man also stumbled, sometimes tremendously. In response to a question about his missteps, Edison once said, "I have not failed 10,000 times. I've successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work." Ha! Hemant found 22. Now, when discussing his work on the light bulb specifically, Edison has been quoted as saying, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." Is this quote true? Who knows? Doesn't matter. The point is, Edison could have failed 1,000 times before making a working light bulb. And actually, just to make this easier, let's say he failed one less than 1,000 times. So Thomas Edison could have had 999 extinct species or versions of light bulbs before he had success with version number 1000. So in total, he had 1000 species of light bulbs. You take the 999 extinct species and divide that by all the species, and you get 0.999. You multiply that by 100 to get the percentage, and that means that 99.9% of all versions of the light bulbs that Thomas Edison created have gone extinct. In other words, 99.9% of Thomas Edison's light bulb ideas did not continue on to be manufactured. They didn't work. We're not producing them anymore. So Hemant thinks that 99.9% of all species God ever created went extinct, and somehow he sees this as a good reason to stop believing in God, but that makes as much sense as Hemant saying that we should stop believing in Thomas Edison because 99.9% of all the light bulbs he created ceased to be in production today. The extinction rate of someone's creations does not factor into whether or not you should or should not believe in that someone. And let's just take a brief moment to appreciate the extra layer of stupidity on this reason. In order to use this reason to stop believing in God, you first need to start believing in God. You need to believe he existed. You need to believe he created these species. You need to believe that the vast majority of the species that God created went extinct. And then, according to Hemant, once you have all those beliefs in God, you should stop believing in God because you believe in God. So yeah, that's like saying don't believe in Thomas Edison because a lot of the light bulbs he made aren't being manufactured. You're telling me not to believe in someone because of something I believe that they did. But if I believe that they did something, then obviously I believe that they exist. Reason 11, like the rest of them, makes no sense. Reason 12.
God doesn't exist because I said so.
Believe it or not, between this video and the last one, we are only a minute and a half into Hemat's video. And in that time, Hemant has been able to pack in 12 of some of the most incredibly unintelligent statements I've ever heard. So Hemant, if you're watching, I just want you to know that when you say "because I said so," that's got to be the weakest reason in your list, because I would not trust anything based on just Hemant Mehta saying it. What's next, Hemant?
The Holocaust.
Super Bowl 52. We're just naming events in the past, right? All right, well, I'm guessing with this two-word reason, Hemant is trying to say that the Holocaust was bad, so therefore God doesn't exist. He pretty much recycles this reason later with reason number 21.
Between tornadoes in Oklahoma, droughts in Texas, and hurricanes in Alabama, there sure are a lot of natural disasters in the places that God supposedly loves.
For both of these so-called reasons, yeah, bad things happen to people that God loves. That's life. That doesn't disrupt a Christian's belief in God. Christians understand that bad things happen to people that God loves. I mean, I'm not sure if Hemant's aware of this, but Christians believe that God's son, he was crucified, nailed to a cross. Christians believe that God loved Jesus, and still, bad things happen to Jesus. I don't know what Hemant was expecting with this one, like, oh, whoa, bad things are happening to people that God loves. I shouldn't believe in God anymore. No, that's, if you're believing in God, you know his son died on the cross. If we're talking about the Christian God, that is. Which, for the most part, Hemant is talking about the Christian God. But yeah, bad things happening to people God loves, that's just something that happens. We accept that. If you believe in God, that's going to be something that you believe in. These are kind of like reason 5 from the last video. Hemant's taking things that someone who believes in God would already believe in, and he's saying, since this is true, you shouldn't believe in God. But on the other hand, if it is true, that's what you're going to believe in if you believe in God. So let's see what he's got for reason 14.
The proof people give for why God exists is so often based on their personal experiences. God spoke to them. They feel God. They just know God exists. It's the sort of proof we would never take seriously if it were applied anywhere else.
So according to Hemant Mehta, personal experiences and feelings are not the sort of proof that we would take seriously when applied anywhere else. But oddly enough, Hemant does take personal experiences and feelings as serious proof in a lot of other situations. This entire video, Hemant's belief that we should stop believing in God, is based purely on Hemant's personal experiences and feelings. That's it. But Hemant, if you're watching, if your kid were to say to you, "Hey Dad, I love you," would you believe them? My guess is that Hemant would say yes. Because when people say to you, "Hey, I love you," you just usually accept it. But you're accepting that based on personal experiences and feelings. Hemant's kid could be lying to him. People can say "I love you" and not actually mean it, but when they say "I love you," it could look and sound and seem exactly like when they would say "I love you" when they actually mean it. The point is, Hemant and me, and probably all you watching, will hear someone say "I love you" and typically just believe it. But that's based on personal experiences and feelings. We're not running scientific tests to figure out if someone actually loves us. We just believe it because of the personal experiences we've had and the feelings that we feel. Personal experiences and feelings are not bad reasons to believe in things. But Hemant, if you think that since people are using personal experiences and feelings to claim belief in God, that's a reason to stop believing in God, then maybe you should stop believing people love you until you've actually gotten proof that's more than just personal experiences and feelings. My guess is Hemant's not going to do that, because this reason, like all the rest, is complete nonsense. Now, before we get to number 15, Fuzz and I are going to go to bed, because it's late, and then I might wear this again or change, and my hair might look different. But we will continue this video, and we'll return like that. Not too much of a difference. Could shave. Number 15.
Too many of God's followers, using Bible verses to support their beliefs, have made life worse for other people.
Yeah, and Mark David Chapman read The Catcher in the Rye, and he interpreted that book in a way that led him to kill John Lennon. So I guess we also shouldn't believe in J.D. Salinger, who was the author of that book. Plus there was a story on ABC News about Twilight, and how a 13-year-old girl was bitten by a male classmate. Apparently the boy had bitten 10 others in 1 month. When contacted, the boy's father said that it was his son's love of the Twilight film that made him bite his fellow students. So we'll add Stephanie Myers to the list of people we shouldn't believe in because she was the author of the Twilight book. And according to Mr. Mehta, if somebody reads a book and then interprets it in a way that makes life worse for other people, then the author of that book is not somebody we should believe in. Now, of course, that doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense to stop believing in God just because someone misinterpreted a book that was inspired by God and then acted badly on that misinterpretation. Likewise, it makes no sense to stop believing in J.D. Salinger or Stephanie Meyer just because someone misinterpreted books that were from them and then acted badly on those misinterpretations. Another major problem with Hemant's teaching here, though, is that if you claim that God does not exist, then God could not have possibly inspired the Bible. But the Bible still exists, which means someone else wrote the Bible. So if Hemant is correct, and people using Bible verses to make life worse for others is an actual reason to stop believing in God, then even after you cut God out of the picture, you still have a Bible, which someone had to write. So now we've got the Bible, written by X, and in Hemant's opinion, people are still using that Bible to make life worse for others. So once we solve for X here, if Hemant's consistent, then we also need to stop believing in X. So now, according to Hemant's theory, God and X would not exist. But again, the Bible still exists, and someone wrote it. So who wrote it? Well, Y wrote it. But in Hemant's opinion, people are still using the Bible to make life worse for others. So if Hemant's consistent, we need to stop believing in Y. So now God, X, and Y don't exist, but the Bible still does. So who wrote it? Well, I guess Z wrote it. You get the picture. This is a stupid reason to stop believing in God, because then you end up with a situation where we have a Bible, but we can't believe in its source. That makes no sense at all. Try again, Hemant.
No matter what Ray Comfort says, God didn't create bananas to look like this. They evolved this way without God's help.
Alright, well, I don't know how much of a role God played in the shaping of bananas, but neither does Hemant Mehta. This claim that Hemant is making, that bananas evolved this way without God's help, Hemant has no facts to back that up. God could have meticulously crafted bananas to look the way they do today, or he could have just let evolution take care of it. I don't know. I don't care. Again, I, just like Hemant Mehta, cannot prove how bananas came to look the way they do today. Now let's pretend for a minute that Hemant could actually prove that bananas evolved to look the way they do today without God's help. Would that be a reason to stop believing in God? No. That'd be like saying Steve Jobs did not create the iPhone 13 mini to look like this. It was designed the way it was without Steve Jobs' help. Therefore, we should not believe in Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is a real person. It makes sense to believe in him, even if he had nothing to do with the design of this. So that's yet another beyond stupid reason to stop believing in God. Thanks, Hemant. What's number 17?
Every time science and religion go head to head, science wins.
Now, as far as that statement goes, I'd be okay with agreeing with that because it could still be that the Christian religion wins too. It could be a win-win situation. The fact is, science has never disproven a single aspect of Christianity, but if Hemant thinks that it has, or if anyone watching thinks that science has ever defeated Christianity, and I'm not just talking about like science proves some Christian wrong, I'm talking about actual Christian teachings. If you think science ever disproved any actual Christian teaching, let us know the Christian teaching, let us know the science that disproved it. Put it in the comments, we'd love to make a video about it. Hemant has absolutely no support for his claim here. That's kind of seeming like it's par for the course for Mr. Mehta. So, number 18.
You don't need God to be a good person. Just cut out the middleman.
This is 100% Hemant's personal opinion, and he has no way of proving it. On top of that though, even if his opinion turned out to be true, it still wouldn't constitute a logical reason to stop believing in God. Hemant's saying you don't need God to be a good person, therefore stop believing in God. But that'd be like me saying you don't need Ben and Aaron Napier to be a good home renovator, therefore stop believing in Ben and Aaron Napier. Ben and Aaron exist. They have a show on HGTV called Hometown. Shout out to Hometown. Also, Ben, I like your Twitter. He does a lot of Christian posts, check him out. Follow him on Twitter. Say Ferris sent you. And he'll likely just be confused because he doesn't know who that guy am. Don't give any more details, just say Ferris sent you. But yeah, if Hemant actually could prove that you don't need God to be a good person, that just proves that you don't need God to be a good person. That doesn't prove that God doesn't exist or you should stop believing in God. I mean, people don't need Hemant Mehta to be a good person. That doesn't mean we should stop believing in Hemant Mehta. Of course I believe in Hemant Mehta. He's the guy who made this really stupid video. Again, the video's dumb, Hemant's not. We don't think Hemant's dumb. We think he's smart enough to know that what we're saying here makes sense. Going back to this reason though, another thing that's strange about it is he seems to believe that there's such a thing as a good person. But how can Hemant Mehta know what a good person is and a bad person is? What proof is Hemant using to figure out who is good? Well, the answer to that is kind of ironic because the only proof that Hemant uses to determine what is good and bad is the very same proof that he said should not be taken seriously just moments ago.
The proof people give for why God exists is so often based on their personal experiences. God spoke to them. They feel God. They just know God exists. It's the sort of proof we would never take seriously if it were applied anywhere else.
When Hemant calls something good, he only thinks that it's good based on his personal experiences and feelings. Now, I have no problem with people basing beliefs off of personal experiences and feelings. I do it, Hemant does it, I'm sure you all do it too. It's just funny to know that Hemant Mehta bases his beliefs off of personal experiences and feelings, while at the same time talking poorly about people who base their beliefs off of personal experiences and feelings. And he thought the Bible had contradictions. Well, number 20.
God works in mysterious ways is typically a euphemism for stop asking hard questions.
Alright, well I would say that at this point in the list it seems like Hemant has run out of steam, except for the fact that he never had steam to begin with. As with most of Hemat's reasons, there is no logical link that would actually make them a solid reason to stop believing in God. Again, let's say Hemat's claim here is correct. Let's pretend that the phrase God works in mysterious ways is typically used as a euphemism for stop asking hard questions. Who cares? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. There's no connection from that to the claim that we should stop believing in God. Likewise, if we did the research and we discovered that no one ever, in the history of the world, ever used the phrase God works in mysterious ways to mean stop asking hard questions, that would not automatically prove that you should believe in God. Because again, there's no logical link between Hemat's claim and Hemat's conclusion. And that goes for every single reason that Hemat listed here. Hemat has no logical link from his claim to his conclusion. So now we're down to one more reason. Reason 22. Give it your best shot, Hemat.
You were made in God's image. Except for your foreskin, apparently. You need to cut that off.
Alright, so as we explained with Hemat's reason number 10, being made in the image of something does not mean that you have an exact copy of the original thing. So that's one part where Hemat's going wrong here, but he also makes another mistake. You see, Hemat's reason here assumes that God ordered circumcision to correct a mistake in the way that humans were made. Hemat has no proof of that. Now, I do think that Hemat knows he's making this up. I would hope that this reason and most of the reasons he's giving are meant as jokes. But just in case Hemat really is in this much need of an education, this is Fuzz. As mentioned earlier, Fuzz was made in the image and likeness of a bear. Now, if I asked Fuzz to chop off his left arm, does that mean that bears don't actually have left arms and Fuzz was given one by mistake? No. It just means I want Fuzz to chop off his left arm. Likewise, God made humans in his image. At one point in time, God did request that humans be circumcised in the flesh of their foreskin. Does that mean that God doesn't have foreskin and humans were just given foreskin by mistake? Which is the weirdest question I've ever asked in my life, but no, it doesn't mean that. It just means that God wanted people to be circumcised. So Hemat's final reason is a total bust. Anyway, all that being said, Hemat is free to stop believing in God if that's what he wants to do, but these 22 reasons, none of them link logically to the idea that we should stop believing in God. Now that being said, they are 22 reasons to stop believing in God. They're 22 illogical, unintelligent, and poorly thought out reasons, but even a stupid reason is a reason. So Mr. Mehta, thank you for supplying an insight into your thought process on why you've chosen to stop believing in God. That was enlightening. For all you watching, please subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, then all. Like the video, comment below, share it with friends, and if you'd like to support us at htbchristian.com, you can do that. This has been Bibles Down on How to Be Christian. You all have a great day, and Fuzz, let's check out that arm.